Today, we're going to explore a question that really gets right to the heart of the spiritual path. It's a question that came out of a deep, shared reflection. Are you truly surrendered, or are you, deep down, still fighting?
Now, the insights we're about to walk through, they come from a very special place. A reading circle on the work of the great Shaykh ʿAbd al-Qadir al-Jilani. They were beautifully compiled by Mir Ali Shah for the Inner Horizon podcast. So think of this less like a lecture and more like an invitation to join in on a shared journey of discovery. So let's set the scene. How does a question like that even come up? Well, it all started in a gathering, but probably not in the way you might imagine. You know, we often picture these spiritual meetings as starting off perfectly, all quiet, orderly, and precise. But this one? Nope. The source material paints a much more real, much more human picture. It began with life itself. You had people arriving, the warmth of greetings, little bits of conversation, quiet invocations. And then, out of that gentle human chaos, a shared focus just started to emerge. A collective settling of the heart. And as they began to really sit with the words of the Shaykh, a single theme started to crystallize, rising up completely naturally from the text and from the hearts of everyone there. You know, it wasn't planned, it was discovered. And so, this became the question. So simple, so direct, and honestly, deeply challenging. It became the lens for the entire evening's reflection. Are you surrendered, or are you still fighting? To even begin to answer that, the group first had to really understand the path itself. And the Shaykh presents this kind of spiritual map, but it's one that totally runs counter to our usual way of thinking. Okay, let's dive into this spiritual map because this is so important. The path as it's laid out here follows a very specific sequence. First, the heart aligns its actions with the path. That's an act of will. From that alignment, the heart draws near. Only then does it begin to truly know, and from that knowing, it begins to see. The order here is absolutely everything. And here's where we find that big reversal, the very source of our internal fight. What do we want? We want certainty first, right? We want the guarantees, the proof, and then maybe we'll think about surrendering. But the path demands the exact opposite. Surrender, alignment, obedience. These aren't the final destination. They're the very first step towards nearness and knowing. This reversal, this is precisely where the fight begins. It's a fight against our own ego and its desperate, desperate need for control. And we all know this fight so well, don't we? The moment something happens, good or bad, the mind just rushes in. It wants to measure it, predict what's next, secure the outcome. It has to explain everything. It wants to manage reality, not trust it. It craves possession. This is where the Shaykh offers what feels like, well, it feels like hard medicine. This quote is potent. The goal isn't just to get better at managing our lives. It's the dissolution of our own independent will before the divine will. It's a radical, total letting go. This is such a key insight from the circle. We tend to think of the ego as, vanity or arrogance, but so often it's much, much more subtle. It can disguise itself as responsibility or competence, when really it's just that deep refusal to let go of the driver's seat. Okay, so if we're meant to surrender control, how do we protect our hearts from all the chaos of the world? Well, the Shaykh offers some powerful tools for exactly that, for guarding our inner state. He talks about setting up an iron wall. Now, that doesn't mean becoming cold or harsh. Not at all. It's about creating a firm inner boundary that protects the heart from being pulled around by worldly things, ambition, reputation, fear of loss, or being attached to outcomes. This connects to another beautiful concept, amana, which means trust. The idea is that nothing we have is truly ours. Our skills, our wealth, our families, it's all a temporary loan from God. We're just custodians, not owners. And when you really get that, it naturally leads to humility. The circle landed on this really powerful connection. Humility is a form of gratitude. When you truly feel that everything is a gift, how can you be arrogant about it? Gratitude just breaks that spell of ownership. So how do we maintain this state? The group landed on this beautiful metaphor. The heart needs a vertical axis. The remembrance of God, or dhikr, that practice of repeating divine names or phrases, it roots us. It stops the mind from being dragged sideways into all the worry and fear. It brings us right back to our center. So we arrive back at our central theme, but now, hopefully, with a much deeper understanding.
What does it actually mean to surrender? First, it's so important to understand what surrender is not. It is not passive resignation, it's not collapsing in fatalism, and it's definitely not just giving up. Those are actually reactions of the ego, not the heart. Instead, true surrender is an active, inward release. And this leads us to ask ourselves, really ask, what in me is still refusing to bow? What am I still desperately trying to control? And the inquiry continues inward. What worldly thing out there still has the power to dazzle me? What part of my heart still needs that iron wall for protection? You see, the path isn't a one-time decision. It's a continuous process. It's a constant, gentle invitation to just return, to repent, to remember, to simplify our lives, to be grateful for all the trusts we've been given, and to be humble in the face of it all. In the end, it all comes down to this, the whole essence of surrender. Let go of the fight. Stop trying to show up with all your plans and achievements. Just come with empty hands.